Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Motivation with Mommy's Tea Time. I am your host, Ramika Latash, and today we have a special guest, Tonya Abari. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Abari.
Abari.
Yeah.
Abari. She is a versatile storyteller, author, journalist, and book reviewer with work featured in Published Weekly, Women Magazine, and more. A 2021 We Need Diverse Books mentee and author of children's books with the Innovation Press and Harper Kids. Her adult writing explores the experience of Black women and mother in the United States. She also has exciting news release, including her picture book Locs, Not Dreads, published on September 5th, along with two board books, My Hair, My Crown, and Let's Celebrate Juneteenth, available wherever books are sold. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I don't know Tanya personally, but I found her. I don't know if I found her on social media or she found me. Um, but this month I wanted to talk about tricks and techniques to get us through the school year with mothers having kids busy, extra curriculum. And I just thought that she would be perfect for this because I believe she homeschools her daughter, and I wanted to give our listeners a different perspective. Before we get started, I just want to thank our listeners for tuning in every Monday. I missed you guys for the month of September. September got so crazy for me, and probably for a lot of you moms out there because school started in September or August, and it just got crazy. And I said, let's pause and let's just start back for October. So here we are, October. I want to thank you guys for listening in. We have listeners listening in over 36 cities and states. We have four countries that are listening in. So I'm so grateful. This podcast is a newbie. We've only been going for about almost 4 months. We have 100 downloads, and I'm so excited for that because at one point I didn't know who was going to listen to the podcast. So I'm so grateful for the podcast, and I'm not going to hold you guys long because it's Monday morning, and I just want to empower you for a little bit to get you started for the rest of the week. So, do you have anything you want to say, Kaya, before we get started?
No, thank you for the beautiful introduction. Can in solidarity with all the mamas out there who are super busy and we're trying to wear all the hats and do all the things.
Yes,
So I just want to thank the audience for tuning in, and we're ready to have a great conversation here today.
yes. So first, we're going to talk about that. I'm so excited to talk about is about lock, not dread. In the writing career. That's what we're going to talk about. This topic is new for me. My son is starting his law, and we had a discussion about calling it dreads and locks, and they wanted to know the difference. So this is like right on time for me, because me and my husband are always giving lessons in the home. When our kids ask questions, and if we don't know, we'll Google it and we'll find the information. So this topic is perfect. I want to congratulate you on your release of your new picture book,
Thank you.
Lots Not Dread. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind this book and what you hope young readers will take away from it?
Sure. So the inspiration for the book was actually, it started back in 2010. My niece and her mom locked their hair. And for me, as a person who has worn locks before and also, has changed my hair, it changes every year, every month.
Mm-hmm.
according to, which way the wind blows. But
Yes.
this is a conversation that I've also had, with not only my niece, but also students who were in my class. I'm a previous classroom teacher. I taught English in the DMV
Okay.
area. And so I thought about this. This is the way we talk about hair from the standpoint of locks in not only our own communities, but um, in outside of our communities. How are
Mhm.
we addressing the terminology, where the history of the hair comes from, and all of the things. So I started off with this book. It was a short story, and I just kind of wanted to write something for my niece, to be honest,
Mhm.
to help her with the processing of it. And it ended up, I tried to get the story published in educational publishing. At the time, I was writing curriculum because I had taught a few lessons on denotation versus connotation in my English class, and we
Okay.
used hair as a backbone for that. And so it was unsuccessful. And the manuscript kind of sat on my hard drive for a while, and then with the success of some hair books like Hair Love and Crown Ode to a Fresh Cut and Natasha Tarpley's I Love My Hair, the conversations became louder. And I was like, well, there's still not a book about locks,
Yeah.
specifically this locked hair. So
Mhm.
I tried to go out with it, and rejection, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Tis the life of a writer. But
Yeah.
I started sending it out to small presses, and a small press, the Innovation Press, acquired the book in 2019. And yes, that's how long it takes for a book to come out if you are
Wow.
traditionally published. So the manuscript was in 2019, and it went through rounds of edits, and then with the illustrator. And so here we are 4 years later with the
Oh
finished
my
project.
goodness. I did not know that it takes that long.
Yes.
Um, I never heard the point of view of the traditional way of to publish a book. You always hear about people publishing their book on their own. So I didn't know that the process take that long. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So what
Yes.
was that like in the waiting period? Um,
Oh, waiting is just it's hard, but I'm a patient person by nature. So and you go into it, you don't have expectations, because like this is my debut picture book. So I've never published a picture book before.
right.
And so I'm learning along the way. I mean, I've board books, and I write for adults as well. So I'm used to
Hmm.
publishing, but this was kind of like my first, introduction to picture books. And so for me, I looked at it as a learning process. I didn't really, harp too much on the time and the amount of
Hmm.
time that it was taking. I just
Okay.
really wanted to know the process. And so
Okay.
trusting the process and knowing
Yeah.
that, you're you're gonna have a final product. It's gonna be here before you know it. And then when it
Yeah.
comes, it's like,
It's like Christmas.
yes.
Oh my gosh, yes. That is a good lesson on patience. And I've learned that throughout my life of being patient. Some things we just don't have control over.
Right.
And when you have that mindset of you thinking that everything has to be perfect, everything has to go like this, on this time, this date, or whatever. And I've learned to embrace time, the now, being patient. If God said it was going to happen, it's going to happen in God's time, and just enjoy the process. So I love that you said about being patient
Yes.
and just waiting on the process. As a prolific author and homeschooling mom, how did you find the time and inspiration to write Locks? I know you said previously you have wrote it because of an assignment, but just how did you go through the process while homeschooling? How homeschooling? Can you can share your creative process for this book, or just maybe not this book, or maybe other books that you may be working on?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because after the book gets acquired, there are rounds of editing that have to be done to the book, and then of course, as a writer, I'm working on other things, so I'm not
Right.
just focused on this book. I'm writing articles and then writing new books and new manuscripts, and so homeschooling. Let me just first say that I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to sugarcoat the
Yeah.
experience. It's hard because you're
Yeah.
stretched very thin. I'm responsible for my child's education
Yeah.
during the day. I also have a toddler, which is physically very demanding as well. But myself and my husband, we make it work because we are advocates of liberated education, and we want to make sure that we are our child's first
Yeah.
teachers, and so we kind of bounce off each other. I will say that I do have a supportive partner, and that we kind of take on the homeschooling together. And
Yeah.
so it has to, like, my writing work, anything revolves around my family and not the opposite way around. We're trying to divest from the idea that we need to be in this capitalist mentality where we're selling our lives short to work to build someone else up. And so
Yeah.
with that, it's a balancing act. There is no such thing as balance. It's pure chaos. But we're okay with that. And we I get in where I fit in. It may
Yeah.
be during a nap time, and don't get me wrong, I take my naps, but some days I'm writing and some days I'm revising.
Yeah.
My husband will take the kids and he'll do go on a field trip, and I'll have a few hours there. Over the weekends, we flip flop and switch. We're kind of like passing boats a lot of the times, but we do what we have to do to make it work, and to make sure that both the education and the writing are priorities. I feel like writing is a purpose. I'm
Yeah.
here and guided by the ancestors on earth to complete a purpose, and I do
Yeah.
really feel like that there is purpose in my pen, and so I make time for it. Um, and homeschooling, we're eclectic homeschoolers, so we don't follow schedules or anything like that. Learning happens at any time during the day. So
Yeah.
we may have school one day at 5 o'clock p.m., or we
Mm-hmm.
may have school early in the morning from 11 to 1 or 2.
Yeah.
This year she's a fourth grade, so we're doing
Okay.
more structured
Yeah.
lessons and more thematic units than we
Yeah.
were before, as it was a mix of unschooling and student led, self
Yeah.
led learning. But now we're
Yeah.
doing a little bit more structure. It's good for the both of us.
Yeah.
But that structure can take place at any time, and that's the joy of being able to
Homeschool.
yep.
Yeah. My kids are older, a little bit older now, but I have four of them. They are stair steps. Um, and I had them homeschooling. Well, I taught them until I sent them to kindergarten and pre-K. And at this time, I feel like, well, they're older now. They're 13, 12, 11, and 9.
Wow.
But I feel like when I put them in the school system, it kind of changed. It took the fun away from learning.
Hmm.
And we just had this conversation with my kids, how they're so like stressed out now with school, between peer pressure and just assignments when assignments are due. And I didn't start them off like that. I start them out as learning was fun. And just like you had said, any given time was a learning experience. They said, "Well, Mom, how did you teach us?" And I'm like, "Through play. Everything was
Yes.
through play. Everything
Hmm.
was a game. If we was just having a regular conversation, that regular conversation turned into um, a lesson." And I said, "That's how I taught you guys." And I've been fighting with myself, like, should I have sent them to school or should I just kept at it? It was a lot because, like I said, they were stair steps, so I had everybody like at the same time. Um, but I fight with myself now. It's like, should have kept them home and kept going with it, or I just fight with myself with that. So I commend you for homeschooling your child. I know you know firsthand because you are a teacher and you've been in the classroom and how things go. What made you decide to homeschool your child?
That's well, first I want to say don't ever beat yourself up. There are no regrets, and we
Yeah,
all are doing the best that we can, and you make the best decision for your family at the
yeah,
time. So, don't ever do that.
yeah.
Um, because I can tell you right now, some mornings where I'd be like, where's this yellow school bus at to come get this
I know.
child? So yeah, so I mean me having been a teacher, I've been in a classroom, and I know that, especially in the past, few years, it's been just especially difficult for children in schools, in the
Yeah,
school environment. And so observing that, I did keep my daughter home. She's never been to daycare or to an environment. Um, you can't, and you have, oh, did you? Okay, I'm here. Okay, it froze
yeah,
up for a little
yeah.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
But so I am home, with my children. I've never sent them to childcare. I'm not fitting to pay no college tuition for somebody to watch my kid. I have to work. We have to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I get it.
and so in doing that, like you, when you had your kids home at a young age, it's just, seeing the type of learning that they're doing, seeing how they are prospering and enjoying learning in different environments, and having
Mm-hmm.
the freedom to be able to also teach them. There's an attack happening right now on especially Black culture, Black history. Books are being banned left and right. I don't know where you are located in the country, but we're in the South. And so
We're yeah, New Jersey, but they're getting a little bold up here too.
yes, I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And so, I mean, I know as a teacher how hard it is to even, having to teach to a curriculum that doesn't include our children, that doesn't center their experiences, and teach them that there's a spectrum of Blackness, joy, pain, all the things in between. And so,
Yeah,
as a teacher, I decided long ago, before I even had children, that if I were to have children, that I would want to do it
yeah,
myself. And that includes, finding a community. It's important, to have community out there.
right.
At first, I felt like really lonely, because we live here. We don't have family. It's just us.
Mm-hmm.
And um, we were, trying to find other homeschooling communities, other children
Right.
who and other parents who were doing this, so that we, could meet up in
Yeah.
solidarity and do it
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yeah.
And that's been interesting. We have found, we are a part of a co-op where we meet a few times a week, and
Yeah.
we do things together in and around the city, and we have learning opportunities where the kids can come together. So we're not so, isolated. I think that's an important part of the homeschooling. And a myth that needs to be busted is that, homeschooling kids aren't socialized. Um,
Yes. That's what made me send them to school. Just not being firm on my belief because when I first had the kids, I already knew like I'm homeschooling them, I'm teaching them, I'm this. And then as they got older, you just hear the noise like, oh, they need to be around other kids or whatever. And like, and me and my husband, we did look into it. It was like plenty of co-ops in our area. You would be surprised of how many like people are homeschooling our kids, and they had it down to like Monday was like art day and Wednesday was gym, and you meet up with a parent and they did gym or they did this or they did that, and it was like a whole community of it. But I just wish, and I know you say I should have just stood firm on it because now that the kids are older and what they're dealing with now is like I'm constantly fighting against what's going on in the school system and at home. It's just like it's like tug, and I'm just like so frustrated with it. And now that they're in school, they're like, "No, mom, I don't want to go to school." But then some days they're like, "Mom, I just want to be home." It's just like they think if they stay home, they're gonna miss out like on their friends. And I told them it's like it's so many groups or whatever that you can communicate with where you won't lose like the social aspect of it. So
Yes. And it's never too
yeah.
late. I mean, if you're thinking about it, there are a lot of resources out here that, and hey, I could chat for days about it. So there are a lot of resources if you ever think about it. But yeah, the socialization piece, you're gonna hear a lot of noise because everybody's gonna
Yeah.
be like, oh, even people that don't understand, what we're doing and what we're building as
Mhm.
a family, they're like, oh, I'm concerned that my child is the most social. She's a social butterfly, and
Yes.
she gets along with all ages. Because
Yeah.
homeschooling, she's not just around kids. She's not just around kids her age. She's around
Right.
teenagers.
Older.
She's around
Right.
babies. She's around adults. Like
Yeah.
we make sure she has like a truly social environment where she's communicating with human
Yeah.
beings of all ages, races, all of the
Yes.
things. So, and that so that's and I'm like, I tell people all the time, like, look, I taught before, like, no, the socialization will not be a problem if you allow it to not be a problem, if you get the kids
Mhm.
out. And now everybody homeschools for different reasons. Some parents, unfortunately, there are those in the system who are keeping their kids away from human interaction, and that's their purpose of homeschooling. You do hear there are stories and there are exceptions of homeschooling families that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but that's the exception and not the rule. But for most of us, and I find especially for Black families and Black families that are homeschooling on the rise, is that we're doing it because we want to make sure our kids get center educations, and we care about them having a liberated space to express themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Um this topic is needed because just being on social media, I hear a lot of parents like, I'm taking my kids out of school, I'm taking my kids out of school. But I think the thing that keeps them from taking them out of school is the resources.
Yep.
I know you're in Maryland. Did you say you're in Maryland?
No, born and raised in Maryland, but
Okay.
now we're in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, Nashville. Okay. Um, yeah, for anyone in Nashville, if you can give like what type of resources you use. I know you said right now your daughter is in the fourth grade, so you have a more structured learning process. Is there like uh, um some resources that you use as far as like schoolwork that you can let our listeners know about?
Yes, absolutely. So we do a mix of, curriculum, and then I do a lot of things myself.
Okay. Mhm.
So like a lot of handmade stuff because I am a former teacher, so I have lots of stuff.
Okay.
But we enjoy Black Classical Homeschool Academy. These are all online. Woke homeschooling, their curriculum. We enjoy root. I forget. It's called rooted in something. I don't know. It's a nature curriculum because
Okay.
we're big on getting the kids outside too,
Right.
and making sure that their education involves being outside in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then for English, I was an English teacher, so I have the writing and all those things. I
Yeah.
pretty much do that myself, but also a
Yeah.
Lab Rascals, which is a science online science academy that students can go to and take the classes online. We belong to our local Adventure Science Center, so they have
Okay.
homeschool days where we take um, our kids to learn science topics. Because listen, as much as I love school and everything, it's a lot that I'm learning too.
Yeah.
Science is not my lane, math is not my lane.
Mm-hmm.
So we depend on other outsourcing those materials. There's a great
Yeah.
mathematician and a friend I went to middle school with.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Akil Parker, and he runs a YouTube channel called All This Math. And
Okay.
it is a wonderful resource, even if you're not homeschooling, a
Yeah.
wonderful resource to add for our kids to have a better relationship with math.
Yeah.
Um, I also, put them in stuff,
Yeah.
lots of activities. And,
Mm-hmm.
my daughter's in soccer. She's on a club team. She
Yeah.
is in an art collective here where she,
Mm-hmm.
they do murals around town. She
Mm-hmm.
is in speech and debate. We have a speech and debate club for
Nice.
homeschoolers. So she's just always involved. We make sure we give her the opportunity to explore. So,
Yeah.
I would suggest just finding local, wherever you are, finding
Mm-hmm.
all the local spots. And a lot of places offer like homeschool days. Even
Yeah.
Fridays, yesterday we went skating. There's a homeschooling day at the
Mm-hmm.
skating rink. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
skating was a big part of my childhood growing up. And
Yes.
so, we skate on Fridays.
Yes.
So there are plenty of opportunities online and in person to make sure that your
Yes.
kids are involved.
See, listeners, you hear this? This can work. I
Yes.
wish I had people who were around me at the time when I was making a decision to really say, no, you can do this. You're already we're doing this. Um, but yeah, this is why I wanted to get you on here because it's a lot of talk about parents homeschooling their kids, and it can work.
Yes.
So I'm just so glad to have you on here. I had another question because we answered so many of the questions inside of the questions. Um, but you mentioned collaborating with your children on various projects and lessons in homeschooling. Can you share a memorable experience where this collaboration led to a particular enriching learning moment for your family?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so in 2018, I'm big on contests. Like I love entering contests,
Mm-hmm.
and writing
Mm-hmm.
contests, any kind of things. I enjoy it. It's like fun for me to do it. And one thing you want your kids to see you do is you enjoy yourself and you have fun. You have to be an example for them too. So we kind of use contests here, as a learning, a collaborative opportunity. So in 2018, my daughter wasn't school age yet. She was 3.5. And
Okay.
I entered a contest, a speech contest for America's Great Think Off. I found it online. I had no idea what it was. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little town in Minnesota that does a speech and debate competition every year.
Okay.
And the topics, you have to write an essay on the proposed topic for the year, and they choose
Mm-hmm.
4 finalists, fly them out to Minnesota to stay and to compete. And so I did this, and my daughter was 3.5, and like we took a road trip all the way up to Minnesota from Nashville. We got in the car and we drove up there, and
Okay.
I stood on the stage and I participated in a speech and debate. I could
Mm-hmm.
see my daughter in the audience. She was
Mm-hmm.
reading my speech. Like she had it like memorized.
3 years old?
3.5. Yeah, she was
Three?
reading by 3. So she's
Nice.
a reader, but
Yeah.
she memorized my speech and was reciting it in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And little did I know, I didn't know that had, an impact
And
on her, because I was like, she's 3, but
yeah.
a few years later, like when she turned 7, she started like looking at speeches on YouTube, like looking at
Mm-hmm.
speeches, and she would be like, "Mom, can you find a speech class? Because I want to do this." And I was like,
Yeah.
Okay. So I we found a speech and debate, and we found that they had a yearly competition
Okay.
where they train all year. And so I entered the America's Greatest Think Off. I kept entering it as she was doing speech and debate too, and
Mm-hmm.
we both had our competitions simultaneously. Now I knew that I wasn't going to do the Think Off again, but we picked a topic and we will work on our topics, and she will be working on hers, I'm working on mine, and
Yeah.
so that we both present at the same time. And she ended up last year at 8 being the youngest person in her speech and debate cohort, and she
Mm.
won the entire thing.
Nice.
So
Nice.
collaborating in like learning together, And also, for me too, like another example of this is that, I grew up in Baltimore City. Like I'm from
Yeah.
Baltimore. We weren't outside, planting roses and and turnips in a
Mhm.
garden when I was little. And so I had
Yeah.
no experience, gardening, but I put my daughter in a nature co-op
Mhm.
who's around here, that is also ran by a Black woman. Come on, we got the juice.
Nice.
And to help foster her love of
Mhm.
nature, because she loves being outside. She loves birding. She loves, all the things, digging in the dirt, all of that.
Mhm.
And so for me, that was a learning opportunity for me because I am just not the nature person. I mean, I love and appreciate on a spiritual level being outside in nature, but I joined the class with her and I took the gardening class and I learned and I participated, and I have a Black thumb. Our garden didn't turn out the way I thought it would, but
Look, I got black thumb too.
yes, I'm like all these people online with all these pretty gardens. We tried. But the whole point of that was that, it was a collaborative experience. I was
Yeah.
learning right alongside
Yeah.
her, and we were learning to do something together.
Yeah.
And just so that I can foster that in her, and to make sure that, she wants to learn how to do these things, that I'm encouraging her and also showing her that I'm learning too, right alongside with you. It's not just you.
Yeah. Whew.
And that takes time and that takes resource, not in resources in effect. You have to make a choice, you
Yeah.
know. The choice for us, my husband and I, and we because sometimes you got to give up stuff to make it all work.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we are we have one car, for the whole family.
Yeah.
We give up, extra things we don't maybe participate in.
Yeah.
Um, we our budget is tight. We eat home a lot. There are
Mhm.
things that we give up to
Yeah.
to make it all work. So I don't want to sit here and say, because there are some people who feel like, okay, if I homeschool, that's going to take away time, and then the time that I had is going to take away the resources. And hey, look, if you need to keep the roof over your head, do what you got to do,
Right.
But
Yeah.
for us, it is about sacrificing and making those sacrifices. And people don't know, because they think, oh, everything's all, they see on Instagram that all these books are publishing and all that, but they don't
Mhm.
know, the output that you
Yeah.
you have to do. And then
Right.
also, we're tired. We're tired all the
Yes.
time.
And
We're
I
tired.
was tired all the time. Okay. I don't even
Yes.
know how I did it. And then you hear outside people like, "You're such the perfect mom. You're doing so good." And I'm like in my head, like, I'm failing miserably.
Yes, yes. That's what we all think that we're, and then you
Mhm.
look back at it and you're like, oh, you've raised such
Mhm.
well-adjusted children. You've
Yeah.
done the work, you're bravo,
Yeah.
you've done it. You're doing
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
we have to give ourselves grace,
Yes.
whatever our journeys are. We have to give
Yes.
ourselves grace and know that we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah.
And I try to just keep it real, too, with folks, and have those conversations like, look,
Mhm.
it's not nothing you do is easy,
No.
nothing.
Nope.
So,
Nope. Nope. Nope.
yes, so if you make the choice, to do that, know that you're gonna have, your hard days, and know that that you may have some days where you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore, and that's okay too.
Mhm.
That's okay. There have been a number of people who, since 2020 have returned their kids back to school because they're like,
Yeah.
I can't. I got to work.
Yeah.
And, I want to make sure that I have me time because some people can't function. I am a Cancerian. I love being around my kids and my home. Like, I don't have
Yeah.
that. And I had kids later. And it
Yeah.
was hard for us to have children. So I have maybe a different perspective.
Perspective on your kids. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And about time. Like we don't get no breaks. Ain't nobody coming here to watch these kids,
Nope.
but
I
hey,
got I got four of them, and it's like one come in, then that one leave, then here come the other one, then here
yep.
come the third one, then here come the fourth one. It's like it's never like a dull moment. Um, yeah, so like you said, it's not easy, but it has its rewards.
Yes.
Um, I love my kids, but I did pour myself so much into my kids that I did lose myself for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did learn to like balance out. And practice self-love and make sure I'm right so I can be the full potential for them. um
Yes.
but I love that you gave it to it real, because like you said, on social media they make it look so perfect and every day is perfect and every child is cooperating every day, and they don't have their days where they don't feel like saying their ABCs.
Yes.
you know
Yes.
um and it doesn't have to be on a schedule.
Yeah.
You just go with the flow. If they want to take a break, it's okay to take a break.
Yes.
If they want to take a nap a little bit earlier than what they normally take a nap, then it's okay.
Yes.
um, Even with my kids in school, sometimes they just like, I'm just tired. Some days I just like, okay, you don't have to go to school. Like, I get it. I
I
work every
love
day.
that.
Some days I don't feel like going to work and I'm tired. I'm like, oh, I'm taking a day. And it's the same thing with the kids. It's so much. Sometimes they need that break.
Yes.
Um, so I thank you for coming on the show. Um, we didn't talk much about the book, but I love the book and what it's about. I am a cosmetologist by trade, so I love hair. I love different textures. I have two girls and two boys, so I'm always telling them how magical their hair is, and they can do anything to their hair, and don't worry about what people say
Yes.
about their hair, because they're only saying something because they wish their hair was like that. I said, you can
Mhm.
wear your hair straight if you want to. You can wear your hair curly if you want to. You can wear it any way you want. And sometimes they can't. They can't. So they can't understand it. So they want to make fun of something that they don't understand. So
Yeah.
I tell them that your hair is magical. It can do anything. I just want to elaborate a little bit more on the book, where you can find it to purchase, and any social media handles you have where we can follow you and support you, and also talk about a little bit more about your writing and how you help others with their writing experience.
Sure, absolutely. So, even with the book, I just want people to get to take away. It's more than the hair. The
Yeah.
book is about more than the hair, and it's expanding the conversation of how we choose to talk about our hair, and I want people to not look at the cover, not look at the description, but actually read the interiors about um, how our hair, like you said, is magical, and it is something that we should be proud of, despite no matter what the history of the hair is and the
Hmm.
etymology of the word, where it comes
Hmm.
from.
Hmm.
Our hair is our liberation.
Yeah.
So that is what I want. And I want kids to take away that they have the agency, to change conversations, and they have the agency to evolve, and to figure things out for themselves and decide what it is that they want for themselves, and not let anyone else decide for them.
Yes. Yes.
So that was, that's the main, and we just even saw in the news, just a couple weeks ago, the news of the young man in Texas who was sent home and suspended for having locks in his hair. I
Mhm.
wanted so bad. I'm like, oh, we need to send them 50 copies of this book to that school.
Yes, yes, yes,
But and they just passed the Crown Act in Texas, which is ridiculous. So they got a lawsuit on their hands. So I hope the
yeah,
family gets justice for that. But
yeah,
knowing that we are not our hair, like we are not our hair, no matter what it is, it does
yeah,
magical things, but
yeah,
that doesn't make who we are. And
yeah,
so the book is about conversation and about opening those conversations up,
yeah,
and stretching beyond the follicles on our hair.
Yes.
So that's what I want people to get out of the book. And of course, it's for children because I'm looking at it from a vantage point of what children think and how they have these conversations. But it's
Mhm.
also for adults too. It's
Yes.
for people of all ages to get into it. And
Mhm.
the main character purposely is all Black girl magic too,
Yeah.
because as my writing evolves, I am noticing that I'm writing my childhood onto pages and other Black girls, and making sure that their stories are loud and
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
Miss Dr. Janica Lewis writes a book called Light and Legacies, and in the book she says that a lot of people think Black girls are loud, but sometimes we're not loud enough. And I think that being unapologetic on the page is something that I'm really dedicated to in my writing, especially when it comes to Black girlhood and Black womanhood and Black motherhood. And so the book can be found at online at Walmart, Amazon.
Okay.
I prefer if people buy the book from bookshop because I
Okay.
like to support indie bookstores and also Black owned bookstores. And so the book can also be found at some of my favorite Black indie bookstores like Sankofa in DC,
Okay.
um, and Mahogany Books. So you can find it at those places wherever books are sold. The only uh, online carrier that's not carrying the Locs book is Target, but Target also
Okay.
has my other books. They have My Hair, My Crown, and Let's Celebrate Juneteenth. Those books
Nice.
are for the babies, so 0 to 5.
Yeah.
And I have more books, more picture books coming out in 2025. I have a picture book, a holiday book with Black Santa magic in it, coming out in
Nice.
2025 with Little Brown. And then I have a nonfiction picture book on the 6888 that will be publishing with HarperCollins in 2025. And then other
Nice.
ones that are on the way that I'm not allowed to say anything about yet.
Okay.
So,
Oh, you
um,
are on the roll.
yeah, so please, find me online. My website is www.tonyaabari.com. And a sidebar, the website is always under construction because yeah, I'm website designer for my own
Like
website. So I got
updating.
yes, it's a work in progress. Don't no judgment. So www.tonyaabari.com, and then I'm also on Instagram at I am Tabari, at I am Tabari. And that's it. That's it.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and follow you. Christmas is coming up, and I think that these books will be a perfect gift for your children to read. I'm gonna get a couple of her books too. For my girl, they're older, but like you said, these books are good for adults and children too. So I'm going to purchase her books. Like I said, Christmas time is coming. I think it's a perfect gift. If you are a teacher and you're looking for books like this, please reach out to Tanya and see how you guys can connect to make sure that you have these books in school. I'm going to talk to my son's school because he just had an incident about being called a monkey. And they gave like a whole lesson. Yeah, they gave like a whole lesson on how that word is racist, and you shouldn't say that. And they had my son stand up and give like a history like of his family and how does that make him feel about calling him that. So I think they need books like that in their school too because they're in a Jewish community.
Mm.
It is a mixed community, but it's not that much of us. So I think this will be perfect for their school to have in their library. So I'm going to talk to them about seeing if we can get some of your books in there.
Oh, thank you. Yes, much
Yeah,
much needed. And I'm sorry that your son had to experience that trauma.
yeah,
And also that they made him stand up and give a report. They should have been the ones going and getting reports done
Well, they did. I think they handled it pretty well. They found a book. They did find a book that talks about, saying certain things to kids and how it made them feel. Um, I think they had him stand up because they wanted him to say how it made him feel, and if they had any questions. And we asked him how did he feel about that. And he said good, but I don't want him to be like the token child. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, these are the issues that we deal with
Yes.
with them in school. But I was okay about the way that they handled it. They jumped right on it. They talked to the kids. The kids were very sorry. I don't even think the child even realized what he was saying. They had an assignment where they were saying that in the sentence it was saying that the kids were like monkeying around. And these are his group of friends. And the little boy said, well, we're like monkeys too, because we're always silly. And my son didn't feel too great about that because he's like, I'm not no monkey.
All right.
So yeah, because it bothered him so much, we contacted the school and they like really jumped right on it. Um, but I think if they had more books like this and more educated on that, then they will be mindful of the things that they say,
Yes.
and
Yes.
do. So yeah, I'm gonna stay connected with you. Um, and see how we can get your book in there. I want to thank you for coming on to the show. It's definitely needed to hear a perspective from a parent who homeschool and also have that's very successful as being an author. Um, I have some things coming up in the future, and I would love for you to be one of the panelists with homeschooling and also being an author. And I love what you're doing with the children books. It's awesome. So we'll talk. We'll talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
I'm
stay
here.
connected. I'm, mhm.
No, I said thank you, and I look forward to being connected with you more. Yes.
Yes, yes. I'm not going to hold our listeners any longer. It's Monday. We just want to empower and inspire you to get you through the rest of the week. Um, our affirmation um, for the week is what is our affirmation for the week? Um, I lost my space. It's no perfect episode.
I
Um,
love it.
our affirmation for the week is I am nurturing creativity in my children's education.
Yes.
Um, and I think this was perfect for the topic today. I would love for you to take that information, write it down, journal it, think about throughout the week how you can be more nurturing and creative with your children and education. Even if they're in school, you still can be an educator at home. We're always educating our kids at home and having little lessons and talks at home. So I just want you to take that affirmation with you and use it. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Motivation with Mommy's Tea Time. Join us every Monday morning at 9 a.m. and we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.